Okay, let's go ahead and get started there, everybody. Welcome back to another 2 p.m. That hurt. Sorry, I just turned on the radio and boy, that was loud. Oh yeah. For anybody that's wondering, I turn on some background music for myself so the headset doesn't um, close down on me. But um, unfortunately, I can't play any of it because copyright. Gotta love it, right? But but you do what you can. Sorry. Where was I? Right. 2 p.m. PST YouTube stream. I'm your Strange for Jim, and today we got ourselves some more Pega studying to do. We're going to be continuing our coverage of uh, the system architect um, mission, and we're going to be continuing on the basically like the rules module. So um, we got that for today. We got some more videos to submit for being scheduled and being presented to everybody. Um, just to reiterate, these are straight VODs. I don't really do any kind of editing to these at this time. Um, I I just don't I don't really have a whole lot of patience to do editing, so just try to I you know I I'm gonna have some difficulty when I gets to the point of um, when I finally get everything caught up, and that hour turns into more of an editing hour than anything else. That's gonna be rough, but you know, I gotta do what I can because got nothing else to do. You know, send out resumes and get ghosted, so not much I can really do along those lines. So, um, and later on tonight, we got some single player Terraria. I'm playing it again to do a better job for um, after I trigger hard mode. Um, and then, of course, we got the multiplayer with Blackheart later on tonight with Calamity mod. So, if any of that interests you, then feel free to stick around, for the stream, or if you're catching this on YouTube, then you can always check out my playlists. Um, the VODs are most likely there. At least they should be. I'm doing what I can to, make them available to you. So, um, okay, so let's get into the pick a topic, shall we? So, who am I and why am I doing this? Um, I'm a software developer who's currently unemployed, but I keep on trying to change that. Hasn't always worked in my favor, but I gotta do what I gotta do, right? Um, and I am currently trying to get um, enough remembered so that I can take the system architect certification, um, so that I can use it for um, potentially more jobs. So, um, or trying to get another job. Whatever. I'll do what I can. I mean, I've learned languages in the past, so um, this is just another one to add to my, under my belt. Um, so it's basically who I am a little bit. So for those of you watching, Um, you know, do not consider me an authorized training partner nor an instructor. You know, don't consider this an instructor-led training. Okay. The idea between and behind those two should be that you should be having someone that knows Pega backwards and forwards and that can help you understand what Pega is, so that when you do take your certifications, you'll be able to pass it, with flying colors. One would hope. My, when I had an authorized training partner at my last job, it didn't really work out very well. A good majority of my peers that were with me trying to get trained as well you know, went for self-study because we weren't, it really felt like we weren't getting much from the guy. He wasn't really respecting us. He was giving us a lot of grief. Um, he was telling the person who was in charge of testing our knowledge um, material that we had not covered yet. All sorts of things. So we had our issues with him. Um, his peers, his coworkers knew that we were having problems with him. They saw that he was a problem, and nothing else happened. Um, so I kind of wish things had gone a little differently, but it didn't. So this is where I'm at. Um, Now, uh, you could put a lot of the blame on my shoulders because I didn't do a good enough job on doing self-study. I didn't focus my attention on it very well. I do enjoy when I have an instructor or someone to kind of help me, because if I have a question, I can actually ask them, hey, how do you go about doing this? Um, because, you know, I won't know everything. And it's better for me to understand from someone that is very knowledgeable about a particular subject, so that I don't make any bad decisions that could potentially cause, you know, um, further problems down the line. Okay. Um, that's who I am. But, um, you know, not sure what else I can really say about the instructor from last time, so I just kind of move forward on that. Now, uh, if you want to, you can go with the instructor-led training. It might cost you a pretty penny. It, from what I last I saw, it was like around $5,000, so not cheap by any means. It's like a 2 week class or something like that. Um, and I would hope that the instructor that you get knows everything about Pega so that, not only will they teach you everything that they know, but they will answer any questions that you have so that you can get your certification without any problems. Okay. Get your money's worth out of that instructor-led training. Okay. If you do go that route, get your money's worth. Okay. Um, don't don't do anything less. Okay. Um, because you if you're paying $5,000 to be trained by someone, you better make sure that you get every little penny out of that training as you possibly can. So, um, it will pay off, you know, when you do get that certification and you do get that job, you'll get that money back, but you know, um, make sure the you know you get your money's worth out of that training. So, and last thing that I'll mention is that Um, Pega Academy doesn't know that I'm doing this. They have not endorsed it. There's, we don't have any like formal communication with each other than the fact that, I send suggestions to them and they reply back to me on occasion as to, are they fixing it or are they not? I don't know. That's the only communication that we have with each other. Um, So if you're like thinking that I'm in some way getting some form of like monetary compensation or like extra uh, instructor training or something, some other benefit or something like that, no, just no, don't take that out of your mind because that's not happening, okay? Or at least that's not happening at this moment in time. If it does, I'll let you know, but you know, they can always reach out to me. My email is available. But, at the same time, that's their choice. Okay? You know, I'm not gonna say, hey, you know, give me something or it's like no, it's like, you know, um, I leave it up to them. They already know that I stream. I've told the people that I've communicated with on occasion that I do stream. So they know. And they know that I'm doing this. If they want to do anything more along those lines, then that is up to them. Um, so um, I'm not going to knock on their door and say, "Hey, give me something." It's like no. Um, I leave it up to them as to whether or not, they feel like I'm helping them in some fashion or another with this. If they're not feeling that way, then that's perfectly fine. You know, um, like I said, that's up to them, and nothing more needs to be said about it. Okay. So, um, yeah, I think that's pretty much the main points that I wanted to talk about. Um, couple other things. First, business architect is done. I've already scheduled the last remaining bits of business architect, the tests, recently, so those should be going up fairly soon. But there's not going to be anything covering business architect again, probably for a while. Um, I mean, I could go over Pega Express Delivery, but I'm not really intending to. Um, my main goal is not business architect. Okay, my main goal is system architect. Okay, so if you are trying to go for the business architect route, then I would recommend that you go for the Pega Express Delivery mission. Okay, that should help you out in taking the certification exam because Pega Express Delivery um, is basically, these two modules plus uh, additional details about Pega Express. Um, so if you want to learn more about Pega Express, I would recommend this mission. You know, uh, I don't know what's all in that mission, but if they're covering more in depth on Pega Express in that mission, then I would recommend that you do that because I feel that Business Architect uses Pega Express at its, at its core. One would think, but I don't know. So we're continuing on with the System Architect. We have a number of modules and challenges left that we have to get through to get to the end of this particular mission. Take the test, and then you know, take the exercise, take the test, and then um, at the very end of it all, we're gonna need to do a lot of studying, review, and check in to see, whether or not I've retained a lot of the information in my head, which is something easier said than done. Um, I need to do. Um, I'm gonna have to kind of work at that a little bit more and discuss things a little bit more. There's topics that I had questions with. I'm hoping that, people with experience will go through my old videos and answer the questions that I've had. Maybe explain things a little bit better. Um, but yeah. Um, well, let's continue on. We got the module of creating a rule to get through. We did rule creation yesterday, so we're on the rule reuse through inheritance. Actually, did I do rule creation yesterday? Yeah, whatever. Um, so let's get through this, shall we? Rule reuse through inheritance. Inheritance methods. Inheritance allows your application to reuse existing rules for other cases or applications. Rule reuse through rule inheritance reduces development and testing time without sacrificing application quality. Determine the reusability of the rule to decide whether the rule should be placed in the class and rule set hierarchy. Pega platform provides two methods for rule inheritance: pattern inheritance and directed inheritance. Pattern inheritance is automatic. Pattern inheritance uses the existing class name structure to determine which rules are available for reuse. Pattern inheritance searches classes that share a class name prefix. Pattern inheritance promotes reuse based on business suitability because rules are aggregated at higher levels to reflect their usability throughout an entire division or organization. For example, a rule applied at the division level that defines elements of payment processing for insurance claims that can be reused by each claims department belonging to that division. And the following image illustrates a basic pattern inheritance hierarchy for an insurance company, ABC Insurance, and two of its divisions. Actually, I should say ABC INS, but that most likely insurance there. And its divisions consumer and business. The ABC INS class is the parent class for the two child classes, IBC INS consumer and IBC INS business, which are themselves the parent classes for policy processing and um, policy processing for consumer and policy processing for business, respectively. In the following image, click the plus icons to learn more about pattern inheritance. Okay. Um, so, um, what's what's kind of interesting about this is the fact that they had um, they had discussions about the um, excuse me, different levels, different foundations, and they typically did like a bottom to top kind of thing where it's like you had the bottom with the Pega, and the next one above that is organization. Then it was division, then it was oh, what it was called. Gosh, I'm not remembering the structure right at this moment in time. Okay, but this in this particular instance, they're doing it kind of top down process, but whatever. Kind of wish that they had it a little bit more consistent, but it is what it is. So you have the organization, which the IBC INS class maintains a standard service level agreement rule PY case type default for all cases created regardless of the division. A division may make changes to the standard SLA rule without increasing the deadline. Creating the standard SLA in the organization layer enables reuse by both divisions, which your divisions are the consumer and business. Then you have the different applications for consumer and business, both including policy processing. You have both of them having the work, under policy processing, both under their consumer and business. And then you have quote unclaim, quote unclaim. Now, one would figure that, they would have probably some repetition on these, that they can reuse for, both the, work quote and the work claim, Now, obviously, not everything has to be an exact duplicate, but, one would think that, um, if you want to do a claim, you could have, you can have a rule that kind of handles, some of the basics, like, hey, this is their name, this is their policy number. It's like, name, policy number, um, address, um, uh, anything else that, might go in there that might be something that could be reused. Now, obviously, when someone enters that information in, they're going to be searching like a different database that has that, that might actually have that different information, because the policy number for like, say, a consumer versus the business might be searching in different databases, right? Just to kind of make sure that it doesn't take that long. Like, if they only have like a couple of businesses under their insurance, but, they have thousands of consumers, then if they're trying to search that, for that business name, then, um, it'd be silly for you to kind of search through, the thousands of consumers, right? You can just, search through that business, come up with a result like almost, pretty much automatically, and you'll have the, you know, it's all taken care of. But yeah. Um, Change primary driver. The consumer division offers family coverage and requires that a specific primary driver be assigned to each vehicle. Management has observed that families sometimes change primary drivers due to licensing changes among the younger family members. A case-wide action to change primary driver and the policy processing work class enables users of all child case types of that class to adjust the primary driver if necessary. Okay. Change insured vehicle. Business driven frequently needs to adjust or change the insured vehicle due to errors that identify which vehicle or vehicles in the fleet is the subject of a quote or claim case. A case-wide action to change insured vehicle and the business policy processing work makes the rule available for all the child case types of the business policy processing work class. So, so here they're kind of focused on the um, primary driver. Here they're kind of talking about the vehicle. So, all right, directed inheritance. Directed inheritance is inheritance between the classes where the parent class is explicitly specified, unlike pattern inheritance, which is automatic. You apply directed inheritance to reuse standard Pega platform rules and Pega platform rules and rules from other applications outside the business class hierarchy. You list directed inheritance on the class rule form because rules are aggregated based on whether they apply to all cases or cases of a certain type. Directed inheritance promotes reuse based on functional suitability. For example, a rule may be limited to a specific implementation, such as an auto insurance application, or applied to all implementations, including applications for property and marine insurance. Directed inheritance is an option that allows an application class to inherit rules defined for standard Pega classes, such as work or data class. So, um, so maybe you have a class um, that like handles address, for example, right? And you just kind of want to add that in, then I believe that's what they're trying to set up for in that case. So it's not something that is, you know, um, in that pattern, where it's automatic, top-down process, but like a class that you can kind of bring in for it to be used. That's what directed inheritance is kind of all about. Set the rules in the higher parent class if you anticipate reusing them to avoid duplicate rules. When creating a new rule that is similar to an existing rule, refactor the rule to use parameters instead of creating multiple versions of the rule. For example, consider an organization named TGB that has an IT application with ticket cases and an accounting application with purchase request cases. Both the ticket and purchase request case types use a property, a px create op name, to record the name of the operator that creates the case. Through directed inheritance, both cases inherit the property, which is defined in the work cover class. So, um, so you have the organization, you have the IT account, you have the work, you have the ticket, and they're both looking at the work cover px create op name to use for both of these. So, okay, check your knowledge with the following interaction. For each description of rule inheritance, drag one of the inheritance type labels to the box on the right. Case-wide action to update shipping address in the workshop class is inherited from sales work class above it. So that would be more pattern inheritance. The email correspondence rule in account management work new account is inherited from the sales division layer. Okay. The SLA rule and the reimbursements application is inherited from the new hire application. That seems like directed inheritance there. The PY user dashboard header rule is used in the user portal and inherited from base class. That's more directed inheritance, is it not? So, and this looks more like it's a pattern inheritance. So, yep, okay. So yeah, the email correspondence is inherited from the sales, which I mean is part of the overall um, class hierarchy, right? So that would fall under the pattern inheritance. Same with the case-wide action here, you know. So um, whereas this one is like one step above, whereas this one is a couple steps or a couple classes above. So um, the SLA reimbursements application is inherited from a different application altogether. Okay, so it's not in the same, you know, class structure, right? Um, basically you're getting it from now. It might be that like the XLA sales reimbursement, for example, um, might be one application, whereas, XYZ sales new hire might be in a different application, but that kind of falls more into direct inheritance anyway, because it's kind of more of I guess you might say it's more of a lateral kind of change instead of a vertical. So, um, kind of the same for this one here as well. So more lateral than anything else. All right. Inheritance and rule reuse. Pega platform first searches through the parent classes indicated by pattern inheritance when reusing rules through inheritance. If unsuccessful, Pega platform then searches the parent class indicated by directed inheritance as the basis for another pattern inheritance search. This process repeats until the system reaches the last class of the class hierarchy, called the ultimate base class or base class. If the system cannot find the rule after searching base class, Pega platform returns an error. Okay, so in other words, it's if you look at this, for example, like if you have like work cover, is like TGB is part of work cover, for example, then you'd have like work class, work cover in TGB, or work cover TGB, and then you had your search down below. And if it's trying to search for like one particular variable name down a ticket, but it can't find it, it checks work, doesn't find it, checks IT, doesn't find it, checks the organization layer, doesn't find it, checks work cover, doesn't find it, checks work, doesn't find it, checks base class, and it doesn't find it, then you got yourself a problem, right? So that's basically what they're kind of talking about down here. Consider the following example in which an auto insurance claim classes references the field that stores the case ID. The application containing the auto insurance claim is built on a generic policy administration application. That generic application is built on the Pega platform. The following image, click the plus icons to learn more about how Pega platform searches for the case ID. So, step one, an auto insurance claim case, described by the Insurance Corp claims work auto claim class references the case ID. If the case ID is not found in the IsoCorp claims work auto claim class, Pega platform searches through the parent classes by using pattern inheritance. If the case ID is not found through pattern inheritance, Pega platform searches the parent class specified by directed inheritance. Ants app claims work claim. This class belongs to the generic policy administration application. Notice how the int app claims work claim class does not have an automatic parent-child relationship. It does not share the class name prefix within and its core claims work autoclaim class. 4. If the case ID is not found in the INS app claims work claim class, Pega platform searches its parent classes by using pattern inheritance. If the case ID is not found through pattern inheritance, Pega platform searches the parent class specified by directed inheritance, work cover. This class belongs to Pega platform. If the case ID is not found in the work cover class, Pega platform searches its parent classes by using pattern inheritance. If the case ID is not found in the work class, Pega platform searches the ultimate base class specified by directed inheritance, base class. Pega platform locates the case ID in base class. How? Who knows? But I mean, you're putting the ID for an autoclaim in the base class. That doesn't seem right. That doesn't seem smart to me. But you know, if it finds it, then okay. But you know, if you're using um, if you're trying to use if you're building an application that has to store um, policy IDs, then you really shouldn't be saving it in the base class. Check your knowledge with the following interaction, or at least I wouldn't. I would figure that the base class would not be where you want to store vital company-wide IDs in. You'd probably want to have it, somewhere in your like database in your own organization for that. But we move on. From which class does base class inherit rules? None. It's the base class. It's the last class. So yeah, all other classes inherit from base class. So there's nothing above it. Okay, if it reaches base class and there's no other rule, then well, you're done. There's nothing more they can do about it. So there you go. And that's rule reuse through inheritance. Now, obviously, you're gonna need to learn, what they're talking about with the pattern and directed. Okay, you're gonna need to know that. Okay, if one of your coworkers comes up to you and says, "Hey, I need you to put this particular rule in, using pattern," then and you don't know what they're talking about when they mean that, then well, you're probably gonna have some difficulties. So try to remember the difference between pattern and directed. Um, Especially if you're going to be working on this on a regular basis. So, just um, so here's what I would kind of say about this. Like, um, you know, I kind of see pattern inheritance along the lines of it kind of climbing up a tree, right? It's kind of like a tree based pattern. You know, um, you go from the leaves all the way up to the root. You know, that to me feels like what pattern inheritance is all about. You go from the the leaves into a branch, into another branch, into the root in that search for whatever whatever you're searching for, whatever variable you're looking for. It start wherever you're starting the search at. It might not necessarily be the leaves. It might be you might be conducting the search at one of the branches, whatever. If you're doing the pattern inheritance, then it will look up towards the root. Okay. Now, TGB is going to be based off of something. Okay. It's not like a standalone. Okay. Base class is the highest. Is the final class that it will eventually get to. Okay, so you could have, base class and then right underneath that, on the pattern, TGV. That could be, something that could be possibly um, happen. But um, more often than not, probably not. Um, it all depends on how you go about kind of structuring your application, right? Because um, like if you're building an application from scratch for the very first time, and like then you're gonna want a an organization. You know you're gonna need to put something in the organization layer that everything kind of is inheriting from. You know, like hey, you have um, maybe your organization is just kind of consisting of all the employees for right now. Okay, and it might not necessarily hold the um, might not necessarily hold the insurance policies numbers or anything along those lines. Okay, maybe they put it down into more of the division or something like that. Not sure. Okay, it all depends on what happens there. That's something that gets kind of determined by the project owner, the business analyst, and the lead system architect to make sure that everything gets handled smoothly. So yeah. All right. Well, that's gonna be it for this particular topic for today. Um, Tomorrow will be classes and class hierarchy, and then after that, module quiz. Um, Depending on when we start, we're probably gonna do both of them one after another. Now, I would hope that the module quiz would actually have something more than just like maybe 3 questions, but we'll see. But that's going to be it for today's Pega study session. So, for those of you that are watching me live right now on this YouTube stream, I want to thank you for joining me on this. Stick around because we're going to be continuing on with um, I got some video uploads to kind of handle, and then we'll get into Terraria later on tonight. For those of you that are watching this, you know, later on through my YouTube videos, I want to thank you for watching. I appreciate it. Hopefully, you'll help me out with the YouTube algorithm, with everything that goes on with that. The likes, the subscriptions, so on and so forth, right? Um, you guys know what to do. You don't need me to repeat that. So every little bit helps. Okay, so I want to thank you for um, by being that change, that helping hand, you know. So thank you for that. I appreciate it. Check out my description for additional links, social media links, links that, help me out personally, like Patreon and Throne. Um, you can check out my Team Robot and its other members. I have those posted in the description as well. Check out those other members. Go and follow and subscribe to them as well. Um, check out all their additional links that they have. Um, and yeah, that's going to be it for um, today's session. So thank you very much for watching. I appreciate it. Hopefully I catch you next time. And until then, take care, have a good night, stay healthy, stay safe, and I'll catch you strangers next time. And stopping recording.